Next up, according to the 2020 Nebraska Rural Poll, 40% of Nebraskans say their economic livelihood is dependent on the success of production agriculture. That's just a glimpse into this year's poll, an annual survey that measures the factors contributing to rural life and policy issues. Market Journal's Maddie McIntosh spoke to one of the researchers involved in collecting data for the poll to find out more.
The Nebraska Rural Poll has been sent out every year since 1995, and 2020 is no different. Celebrating its 25th anniversary amongst a worldwide pandemic has made the poll's job more important than ever.
It aims to kind of get the heartbeat of what it's like to live in rural Nebraska. So we think about rural Nebraska and we think about farming and ranching, but there are people that live in rural Nebraska and have jobs outside of agriculture and connected to agriculture and live in very, very small towns and villages and larger cities and towns that are 5,000 to 10,000 people. And to try to understand all of the different facets of life for those folks that aren't living in the Omaha and Lincoln metro areas. The survey is sent out in a very scientific manner, and we had the typical response. So it was set at random to 6,000 people, and it was just shy of 2,000 responses came back then in April, May, and June.
The poll found that 75% of rural Nebraskans know their community's well-being relies on agriculture, even if they're not directly involved.
They understand the macroeconomic concepts of how not only is ag important for them individually, but for the state and how everything is interconnected. That was something that, for me individually, was a really neat surprise to see how they understood that, hey, when cattle prices and beef prices and corn prices are good and agriculture is thriving, that's good for them as well. Even if they're 3 arms lengths away from ag, they know that ag is good for them, it's good for the community. So that was interesting. It was also neat to see how many Nebraskans are within 1 or 2 generations from the farm or the ranch. So it's inescapable, especially if you live in rural Nebraska.
The poll also sought out what rural Nebraskans thought of the livestock-friendly county designations. The responses showed that not everyone is on the same page.
This isn't necessarily so negative, but one of the things that we talked about was the livestock-friendly designation. And the result was, well, we don't really know if it's good or bad. We really don't know what it means, and probably for good reason. If you were not familiar with the designation, you might not know exactly what that means. Your imagination can go to different places about what livestock-friendly designation means.
On the other hand, there was a majority of positive responses when it came to questions about rural communities.
The pretty overwhelming majority of people are happy with the services that their town provides. There were some negative responses about roads, but they're happy with the fire department, they're happy with the police department, they're happy with the library, they're happy with the churches in their community. People in Nebraska have this strong attachment to their community. And they have a strong attachment for kind of superficial reasons like, hey, everyone's really friendly, but then it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. I feel like I'm part of the community. They feel like even if they were given a really good job opportunity, the majority of them would have a very difficult time leaving the community. So they're emotionally a part of their communities. They even feel like their voices are heard. And you would think, okay, there's going to be maybe a difference between 500 and 5,000 sized communities, and not really. I mean, the folks in the really small communities, as you would probably guess, feel like their voice is heard, but the people in the kind of mid-sized communities feel that way too.
Overall, Tim says the poll shows that rural Nebraska is heading in the right direction.
The trend in the rural poll is positive. If you just had to take the temperature or the pulse of what's going on in rural Nebraska, it's good, and it's moving in the right direction.
Reporting for Market Journal, I'm Maddie McIntosh.